Not much. Hello, Joe Rogan.
Hello, Cameron Haynes.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. This is my first time trying one of these new energy drinks that Black Rifle came out. Have you tried them? They're good?
I have.
They're legit?
Really good.
Everything they do is legit.
Yeah, really good.
Legit. Mango.
What do you think?
So this is the part of the podcast where I try to talk you out of running a 250-mile race with a broken foot, you fucking maniac.
We're talking about my book. This is the whole point of this was undeniable is out.
Well, you'll definitely be undeniable or you're on 250 miles with a broken foot.
Yeah, it's
Why are you doing that? That seems like not a good idea. But what am I, a doctor?
okay. So real talk. We'll break it down. So if I was a professional athlete in my prime, right, it would obviously make sense to say, and I need to get surgery, my foot's broke, I can't perform, whatever. But since we know how old I am, almost 60, it's just like there's no guarantees. I'm like, if I can fight this off and still perform, then I'm going to do that.
Wow.
I can't afford to play the long game. Can I?
Fix your foot. It's like, I don't understand. Like, this is what I've always said with people with jiu-jitsu injuries, because I've had a bunch of surgeries.
Yeah.
Just fix it. Just do it, because a day will be a week, will be a month. It'll happen so quick. Before you know it, it'll be 6 months, you're back in the gym. Mm-hmm. Just do it. That's what I always tell everybody. Just fix it.
Yeah.
I just bite the bullet, get the like, there's certain things I don't think you should get surgery for. Because there's things that you could rehabilitate. There's some doctors, I want to be real careful about this, because a lot of doctors are very cautious about whether or not to do surgery. But there's some doctors that are just a little too excited to cut people open and stitch them back together again.
Well, it's how they make their money.
Mm-hmm. And, famously, I've talked about it too many times, but for people who haven't heard the story, my doctor told me for sure, you're going to need shoulder surgery. You're going to have to get shoulder surgery. It's just a matter of when, and if you put it off, it'll probably get worse. I have zero problem with that shoulder now. Mm-hmm. I got stem cells in it from Roddy McGee in Vegas. You went with me to that place. Yeah. Went back in 6 months. He's like, the tear is completely gone. So I could have gone under the knife, and maybe he would have done a great job and fixed it. Apparently he did the Lakers and a bunch of pro athletes and everything like that. But they don't entertain the possibility that there's other ways to fix things. Right. But when it comes to broken bones and torn ligaments, like if your ligaments, like I have a bunch of friends who have ACL tears, complete ACL tears, no ACL, and they still do jiu-jitsu. I'm like, dude, you're just grinding up your meniscus, this shit that you're going to need for the rest of your life. And take it from me, a 57-year-old man who loves jiu-jitsu, you can't do that. You need that stuff. Like that stuff's going to go away, and then it'll be bone on bone, and then you're going to be like, in agony all the time.
Yeah.
Theoretically. Just get it fixed. I always say, just get it fixed. Get it fixed. Before you know it, it'll be fixed.
Yeah, but I keep thinking about it. So if I would have done it, so I broke it last June, but all the things I did from last June to now, I've got accomplished, still got it done. Made it happen. Yeah, it hasn't been that fun.
Don't fix it ever. Just live with a broken foot forever. That's retarded. It doesn't make any sense. It makes zero sense.
This is reverse psychology, isn't it? Good. Yeah. No, don't do it.
Good job. Break the other one too, so it balances out. That's the problem. Is that you only have one broken foot. If you just take a hammer to your right foot or your left foot, then you'll have no problems.
Well, we'll know.
I'm sure you're going to get through it. I'm positive you're going to get through it, but it's just like, why are you doing that to yourself?
Next Monday at 5 a.m., 250 miles.
Which one is that? What's the race called?
On your mark, is set, go. Cocodona 250.
Where is it? Is it elevation?
It's Arizona, so it goes from, I think, Black Canyon City to Flagstaff.
Is it flat the whole way, or is it?
No, 40,000.
40,000 feet, nothing.
Or maybe 30,000, I don't know. A lot of climbing.
Just a tiny amount. Look, fucking mountains.
No, there's lots of mountains. Is that it's right there, Cocodona 250.
Bro, that's so ridiculous.
Yeah, it looks beautiful, though.
That's so ridiculous. You're going to do that with a broken foot.
Yeah.
So after you did that, here's the next logic. Well, if I could do 250 miles, I can make it through elk season. And then, you're not going to get it fixed.
I just did it with a broken foot in elk season.
I know. That's what I'm saying. You're not going to fix it. You're not going to fix it.
Well, if I get backed into a corner and I can't walk.
Oh, boy. But then the problem is, what if you've done permanent damage? Like, didn't you say your hamstrings bother you now because you
this whole leg. But,
And you're going to run 250 miles with a fucked up hamstring. Great idea. That's not going to fuck it up worse.
This is supposed to be a feel-good discussion. I thought friends BSing, right? Everybody has a good time here. The most influential man in the world, Time Magazine should have been.
No, Meghan Markle beat me.
God. How if it's most influential, there should be there's no debate. Nobody's even in the same category as you.
I don't know. I don't think about it. I try not to. It's a little complicated.
I'm thinking about it, though.
I really shouldn't be influential. I don't think hard enough about the consequences of
it. You say that all the time, but man, you have so many good conversations, and it's definitely changed. Here's what's crazy is, mainstream media with all the money that the advertisers had to pay or whatever, it's like that was their thing. Now that it feels like that money's coming to the podcast realm because of you. I mean, you've shown the power of podcast, and I think all the podcast hosts are benefiting from that. What do you think?
I think we are all benefiting from all of our work. I mean, I don't think it's me. I just have been doing it longer than most, but there's guys like Corolla and a few other guys that have been doing it longer than me. It's just podcasting is just better because there's less people involved. It's really that simple. The problem with stuff like Fox News and CNN is there's too many people involved and too many interests, right? You have the interests of the network, you have the interests of the censors, you have a bunch of people that, don't want you talking about certain things or want you talking about certain other things. Like they want you to push certain narratives. There's too many people. And so it feels curated. And so when you're listening, it doesn't resonate. But when you listen to two people just shoot the shit, you're like, oh, I know what that's like. Like that's like if someone came over your house and started talking like a CNN anchor, you'd be like, "What the fuck is this guy doing in my house? Get him out of here! Yeah. I can't relax." We're trying to have a glass of wine.
How would he talk?
What we've learned today is that climate change is the most important. You'd be like, "Oh God, get this guy out of the fucking house!" Like, what are you saying?
So why Douglas Murray is going to come over to my house? It sounds.
Have you ever been? Yeah, I mean, it's just there's people that are professional talking heads. Like there's people that are professional sportscasters. They talk like a sportscaster voice, like Howard Cosell.
Radio DJ voice.
Radio DJ voice. Right. Yeah, exactly. Top 40 DJ voice. It's like they're all the same. Coming up next, all right. Like that kind of weird thing that they do, where you're used to it. It sounds professional, but it doesn't resonate with you, so it doesn't seem normal. When you hear people, whether it's you or me or Theo Vaughn or Andrew Schultz or whoever it is that's doing a podcast, they're just people talking, normal people talking to people, and that's what people want. And if a normal person can talk to scientists and, and say, how does that work? Why is it, what causes this? Like, what can I do to make this happen? What's the best way to start your day? That kind of shit, then it makes sense to the people. If you hear some fucking weirdo that's talking in a way that doesn't make any sense and won't bring up certain subjects and has guardrails and won't use certain language, it doesn't make sense to you. So it doesn't work as well. And also, they don't trust those people. Like if I tell you, oh, this Black Rifle coffee drink is good, I'm not lying. I wouldn't lie if I was like, Evan, what the fuck is this? If I drank it, I was like, bro. We would call Evan up right now. We'd call him up on speakerphone too. Just mango tastes like ass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Probably not, but I'd tell him privately. But it wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? I know all their shit is great. Their coffee's great. Everything's great. It's like everything, all the ads we have. Like I had a call yesterday, one of these conference calls that I have, where I gotta go, no, not that one. No, we can't do that. It was like different ads. Like, what is it? No. Like, I just, something that sounds like wrong to me. Right. I'm not a bit interested. That might be a scam. This might be horse shit. What's the studies on this? Is it real? Like, what do we, no. Like, or yes. Oh yeah, I use that all the time. Let's do that. That's good. That's a solid company. That's this is great.
Yeah, I wonder if, I don't even know how to word it, but people are so used to the fake stuff. Like even if somebody says, if you talk about being transgender and say, oh, well, this boy felt like a girl, whatever, it's like you're almost programmed to be like, okay.
Yeah, just you're programmed to not have an opinion about it.
And so, because normally, as guys work, we talk about radio DJ voice or the fake or whatever. It's like, that's not how people talk. But guys can be around a certain group of people, and there'll be like one guy, you'd be like, that guy seemed off.
Yes.
What the fuck's wrong with that guy?
Right.
And
some guy will infiltrate your group.
That's like a subtle little thing. Mm-hmm. That's not like the things we're talking about, like the big things. That's like this guys have this radar, and you're just like, who the fuck is this guy?
Right.
And then you go to the complete other realm where it's so preposterous, and we're supposed to be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I actually heard a psychologist discussing this, and he said that there's an issue with talking about things publicly, especially with social media, because there's so much backlash on social media whenever you hit any hot button topic. Immigration, politics, anything that's like a real hotly contended topic. People will say things just so they don't get attacked. And they distort their opinions based on how much they think they're going to get attacked. So all that social media stuff is super effective. People attacking people is super effective for people to like, this is how transgender people in sports got through. The only way it got through is because people were calling people bigots.
Yeah.
Every fucking parent who's not a complete psychopath doesn't want their daughter wrestling with some boy who thinks he's a girl.
Right.
That's crazy. Playing rugby with some boy who thinks he's a girl. That's crazy. Have a 6'6", 50-year-old man who identifies as being 17-year-old girl. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But you can't say that's crazy, or your feed will be bombarded with a bunch of sociopaths attacking you for being transphobic.
Or it'll be suppressed. Or Instagram will be like, okay, you guess what? We don't like that opinion. Nobody's going to see it.
I think Instagram is doing less of that now, allegedly, supposedly. Yeah. I know X is not interested in that at all. They're not suppressing that shit at all. You can talk all the shit you want about trans people in sports now, because the reality is the general population, look, I don't care what you want to do. If you want to wear a dress, you want to be called Rhonda, go for it. Have fun. I'm a freedom person, and I believe America is the land of the free, and that includes doing dumb shit. That includes things that I don't agree with, but don't hurt me or anybody else. Go have fun. But as soon as you start doing things like entering into women's bathrooms, entering into women's locker rooms, and all you have to do is just say you're a guy. Now we're in crazy town. And if I can't say we're in crazy town, that's how all that stuff got through, is because Twitter was complete nonsense. It was just a psyop. The whole thing was just a psyop. We all owe Elon Musk a huge debt. When he bought Twitter, he changed the conversations in the country because all of a sudden people were free.
You could say what you want.
You were free to say whatever you wanted.
Yeah.
Before, you couldn't say anything bad about Biden or the liberals or COVID vaccines or anything. You would be banned. You'd be banned.
Yeah, that's, that Elon coming, doing what he's done has definitely changed the world, right?
Without a doubt.
I mean, and how much credit does he deserve? Because he did not have to do that. I mean, he had more money than anybody. Why would he put himself out there like that, other than to make a positive change for humanity, essentially?
Well, in talking with him both publicly and privately, he was genuinely concerned that we were losing free speech. He was genuinely concerned that it was being hijacked. It was being hijacked under the guise of safety. Like, we have to protect people. We have to protect marginalized people, like marginalized male perverts who want to wear dresses and pretend that they're a girl and go in the bed. Literally.
Right.
And that's dangerous with that, but it's also dangerous with everything else. It's also dangerous, like, if you're a person who's a progressive person who believes in gay rights or anything, welfare, universal basic, whatever it is, imagine living in a world where there's no free speech, but the Republicans are in control, or like super religious conservative people are in control, or Muslims are in control. Let's imagine Like the Muslim population in this country is expanding all the time. They've got Muslim-run cities now. They have call to prayer in certain cities in this country. Imagine that goes everywhere. They're in control of social media, and they institute Sharia law on social media, and they want to throw gay people off the roof.
Yeah.
This is where it goes. Like, you got to leave people the fuck alone. You got to let them say whatever they want to say, and if you don't agree with them, don't follow them or make an argument against it.
Right.
It's really that simple.
Yeah.
That's what America's supposed to be, and it wasn't that way for 4 fucking years.
I know.
During the Biden administration, the FBI was involved in Twitter. The government intelligence agencies were involved in Twitter. They were telling people to take down true information, and they were getting them to do it, and they were doing it.
How crazy is that?
Crazy.
Yeah.
People should be up in arms that took place. Like the Hunter Biden laptop thing, you should be freaking out. How'd they get 51 former intelligence agencies to sign off on something they knew was a lie?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
They just did it right in front of our face.
And no repercussions.
Nothing.
It's
Nothing.
How does that happen? But then also, how is there no repercussions?
Well, what's really hilarious now is they're all getting grilled by even like liberal media is grilling these politicians like, did you know Biden was out of his mind?
Right.
Like, how did you know?
Yeah.
Like Elizabeth Warren was like, he was sharp as a tack.
Oh.
He was getting up for meetings.
Never seen him better. I heard that too. It's like, what?
Joe Scarborough.
Yeah.
He was like, this is the best version of Biden I've ever seen.
Oh,
like,
my.
you should be literally in jail.
God.
You're such a liar.
Yeah.
You almost like shifted the whole. Imagine if Biden stayed in, they lied about that, and then he's literally like a zombie for 4 more years.
Oh.
And whoever the hell was running the country for the last 4 years just continues to run it, and then they just tighten up even further.
Could you imagine?
Cut down on. Mark Andreessen was telling me about debanking, which I didn't even know existed, where people that had certain political donations and political persuasions, they would take their banking away. They did no crime. They just say, you can't bank here anymore. You got to go find another bank. And there's only like a few banks. They're all owned by giant mega corporations. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Well, it's no different. That kind of reminds me of what happened in Canada with the truckers.
Yes.
I mean, they froze their bank accounts.
Yeah.
Or people who donated to them.
Yeah. The people who donated to them got their bank accounts frozen.
How insane.
Insane. And then that same party just won again. Good job, Canada.
Oh, my God. If they didn't have good bear hunting, I would never go there.
I do have to say, I offered to have that Pierre guy come on the podcast.
Really?
He didn't do it. Wouldn't do it. Thought it was too problematic. Or whatever. Jordan told me, I forget what he said, but they were telling him not to do it. Like his advisors were telling him not to do it. Hey, dumbass.
If they can't talk to you and have a conversation hold up, you're not grilling people, you're not attacking people.
Of course not.
This is like a safe, the friend zone type thing. It's like, no. And I heard you talk about Kamala saying, just want to get to know her. Just want to talk to her.
100%. I said, if there's certain things they didn't want to talk about, I don't need to talk about them.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm like, I could talk to you about fucking AI.
You've never been the gotcha guy.
R-E. I'm not interested in that.
No.
I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. If I disagree with someone, I just say I disagree with them. I don't attack people. As I've gotten older and wiser in life, I want less conflict. I mean, sometimes you have to be able to disagree in a way that's forceful. But I'm never insulting or attack people.
Right.
And especially this Pierre Polivet guy, because I don't know how to say his name. How do you say it? It's a weird way of saying it. Polivet. I would just ask him questions like, what's wrong? What's wrong with Canada? Like, how did this happen? Why did it go this way? What can be done to reverse some of these things that have been put into place? Like, how did you feel about this? What would you have done differently?
Yeah.
Real simple stuff.
Yeah.
Real simple. I don't know anything about Canada's politics.
Right.
It'd
be interesting.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear it.
It would have been fun.
Yeah.
But people are just, and this is also why the attacking of people on social media is effective. Like the same thing that keeps people from saying things because they're worried that they're going to be attacked also keeps people from talking to certain people because they're worried about they're being attacked. They'll try to, like, this is one of the things that I felt like Douglas Murray was doing when he was on the podcast, was like trying to gatekeep who I have on. Like, why would you have this person on? Why would you, like, he never even listened to that guy, Daryl Cooper's podcast. Like, I would tell everybody, forget about the politics stuff. Listen to his stuff on Guyana. Listen to his stuff on Jim Jones, the Jim Jones series.
And this is an hours.
Fucking incredible.
Doesn't he do like hours-long discussions? Yeah.
Fear and Loathing in New Jerusalem is something like 30 hours long. Insane stuff. But he's a really thoughtful person, and he delves into all the areas. Let's look at this from the perspective of the people who are in the cult. Look at it from Jim Jones's perspective. Look at it from the nation of Guyana, where he moves there with his fucking cult and kills everybody with Kool-Aid. I don't think it was Kool-Aid. I think it was like a bargain name. It was like some fake Kool-Aid.
Yeah, we don't want Kool-Aid to sue us.
People always say drink the Kool-Aid, but I do. Google that, because I'm pretty sure it wasn't really Kool-Aid. It was something else.
Great
some
crush.
cheap, too expensive to kill everybody with top shelf Kool-Aid.
Yeah, it's a lot of sugar you got to put in Kool-Aid.
By the
Remember
way-
when you used to make Kool-Aid and it was like, what was it, like a cup of sugar?
Oh yeah. And then you throw the stuff in there. Bert Kreischer drinks that all day long. It's like a 64-ounce jug of Kool-Aid.
He was shredded.
Oh, he wasn't.
He was more shredded than he is now.
Yes. Yeah, but he's real big right now. I was just talking to him the other day. I was like, dude, you got to do something.
Maybe Flavor Aid.
Flavor Aid.
Similar, but that's actually
might have been from
Cheaper.
Yeah. So that was from Costco.
Yeah, they got it in bulk. Flavor Aid. There it is.
Kirkland. Yeah.
What does it say? Your aid? What does it say?
Where?
What is it?
Flay, F-L-A,
Oh.
or Aid. Flavor Aid.
Oh, that's an F?
Yeah.
Make it larger? Oh, it's blurry.
Probably.
Oh, there it goes. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, Flavor Aid. Okay.
Flavor Aid.
They killed everybody with Flavor Aid.
They're mixing
Jesus.
it up.
Poison has got to be the fucking worst way to go.
Yeah.
Just feeling your body just getting destroyed from the inside out.
Terrible.
For some jackass who's on meth.
Oh.
It's a crazy podcast. But this is my point. Like, what they're trying to do is keep these heterodox opinions, keep people that are like outside of the circle of expertise from talking about things. Even if they've read, like, Daryl Cooper's read like hundreds of books. The guy's like a fucking consummate reader, and you might disagree with him about something. That's fine. That should be okay. It should be
Right.
okay to disagree with people about stuff.
Yeah. And also, what is learning? I mean, what is learning?
Yeah.
So you said he read, he did all this research.
Yeah.
Douglas Murray has a problem with I don't know who, but how is that different than going to school, essentially?
Right.
I mean,
It's no different. It's no different. I mean, there are experts that stop learning the moment they get their degree. And that's real.
Yeah.
And it's a real problem. It's a real problem in medicine. You know, I had an argument with Brian Callen years ago because his doctor was telling him, you don't need supplements. You just need a balanced diet. That's what his doctor was saying. I go, your doctor looks like shit. Like, what are you talking? Your doctor's fat. He's got a big pot belly.
Yeah.
He's got a big doughy face. He probably can't run around the block. Shut the fuck up. Don't listen to that guy.
Right.
There's plenty of peer-reviewed papers that talk about the efficacy of vitamins. They're super beneficial for you. This is crazy talk.
Yeah.
This appeal to experts. Just because you have a degree, you're not always right. You're
No,
wrong all
no.
the time.
yeah, that was pretty disappointing because I thought Douglas Murray, I liked listening to him. I thought he was super smart, obviously
But
very
he sounds
articulate.
so good
Yeah,
with that accent.
But then on that one, I think I told you it was like, or I texted you something about, man, he seemed pompous. It's like, that seemed like, took a big, for me, it was a loss for him, big time.
Well, he used tactics rather than facts. So the tactic was an appeal to experts like that, and there was also saying that the coverage was imbalanced because I didn't have enough people that were pro-Israel. But then I thought about it afterwards. I'm like, I had quite a few. There was Jordan, Ben Shapiro, there was Coleman Hughes. There's been quite a few people that are pro-Israel. And not even that people are anti-Israel. They just don't want to watch people get blown apart all the time.
Right.
That seems pretty reasonable. But instead of debating how this is done and what is being done militarily, it all became about, like, who are the experts and what are the things that should be discussed and should it be balanced and do you have an obligation? Like, that's not what we're here for. What we're here for is to get down to business. So what he's doing is like putting you on the defensive right away, out of the gate.
Yeah.
Which is like, I recognized it. I'm like, okay.
No, you were perfect. You're a perfect the perfect person to handle that. Because most people, when they start getting attacked, you get defensive, you attack back,
Yeah.
right? It just changes the whole dynamic of the conversation. But you stayed pretty neutral on that. And
it's a trap.
Yeah.
It's a trap. It's like, when someone gets in your face and they start yelling, in your face, like, what are we doing? Are we fighting? Or, I could start yelling too.
Yeah.
And then maybe I won't
That's usually what happens.
Yeah, and then maybe I won't be paying attention to your hands, or your shoulder movement,
Distracted.
or whether or not you're going to hit me.
Yeah. See, that's a tactic. That's a fighting tactic.
100%.
He had the same tactic, but not for fighting, but for conversation.
Yeah, it's a tactic, and then the thing of asking Dave, you've never been. Like, to dismiss, and instead of having a debate on the issues, like, and this idea that an expert, like Douglas Murray, I love him dearly. I think he's a brilliant man. He's got a degree in history, or he's got a degree in English, bachelor's degree. Okay, he's not an expert either. Unless we're talking about Shakespeare, shut the fuck up, because you're not an expert either. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't have a degree in anything. I have 0 degrees in anything. But there's certain things that I'm an expert in. You want to talk about martial arts? I'm a martial arts expert. Like, if you disagree with me, you have to be like, in order for me to have a conversation with someone where they disagree with me about martial, they have to be so much better. They have to be like Gordon Ryan.
Right.
But I don't disagree with Gordon on anything. For him, that's a real expert. Again, no degrees. That's a real expert. I would just ask questions like, what do you do in this situation? What's the benefit of this versus that? And so you talk about it. Like, with these political issues, they're such a third rail. It's such a fucking dangerous subject that people have like a group that they belong with, and then that group will support them if they go out and say these ideas, and then the other people have another group, and then this person's a representative of one group, and they want to duke it out with the rep. Any reasonable person would look at Gaza and go, this seems kind of excessive. This seems kind of fucking crazy.
Right.
It seems kind of crazy that 70,000 people or whatever it is are dead, including women and children. Like, this is the only way to do it? Really?
Yeah.
Any reasonable person, that doesn't make you anti-Semitic. It doesn't make you anti-Zionist. It doesn't make you anything. It just doesn't make you pro-Hamas. Like, no, it
Could be pro-human.
Yeah, human beings.
I don't think humans should be murdered.
Yeah. That sounds so reasonable. But the thing is, we never got into that.
Yeah.
Because the conversation, tactically, he entered into the conversation as, because he doesn't have really a defensible position. It's very hard to say this is the only way to do it.
Yeah.
So what do you say? You say, you need better experts. You shouldn't be talking to this person. You should be doing this. You should be doing that. Like, why don't you have this? You've never been there. You should go there. Like, bitch, I am not going there. What the fuck are you talking about?
You're not even going to Brazil for another UFC fight.
Yeah, exactly. I don't go to Canada.
Not traveling out of the country.
Yeah. It's like, it's not what I'm interested in doing. I don't have to.
Well, what's crazy is, so he had that take about unless you're an expert or educated, you shouldn't be able to share this opinion.
Yeah.
But he'd had the opposite take before.
Oh yeah, which is hilarious because somebody put a video up of him arguing with him.
Completely opposite. So I asked you about this, not with him, but I asked you, do you think there's like government plans? Because it's like, if somebody, I'm not saying him, I'm just saying just in general, if somebody changes their position I don't know.
I know. It's hard to know.
Who got to him, and why did this happen? Because then I look around, we talk about the power of podcasts, and I see these podcasts, and it's just like, how did this podcast get every guest you could ever want and rise to the top in a heartbeat? When we know how it normally works, it works like decades, right, to get to the top. And then some people, so I'm thinking like, how did this happen?
Well, some people are really good. And they could be really good right out of the bat. Right off the bat, they could be, better at it, and then they get a good following, and then once it gets into the top 20 or whatever, then they can get good guests. Because when it comes to...
But that usually takes time.
Sometimes. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I wonder what would happen if I started the podcast today. If there was all the podcasts that were out right now, and I had never done a podcast, and I started today, and I did it exactly how I'm doing it. How long would it take before it catches on? I don't know.
I don't either.
I would suck, though. That would be a problem. I would suck and everybody would be watching. Because I sucked when nobody was watching, and I got better at it. I figured out how to do it. But as far as like Douglas, I don't know if anybody got to him or whether or not the group that he associates with thinks this way. I don't necessarily put everything inside of a grand conspiracy. It might be that he has financial ties towards certain things. You know, like he speaks at certain places. He sells certain books. He knows how he's selling them. I mean, or it might be just that's how he thinks about things too. There's sometimes people always think like, oh, somebody got to him. Like maybe that's just how he thinks.
Yeah.
Somebody has to think that way. Otherwise, that wouldn't be an opinion that's out there in the zeitgeist.
Normally, people don't switch 180 degrees on things, though.
Especially like that. Yeah.
I mean,
that's true. That's true.
Because if he's educated on things, if he's been around, if he's, the smart, wise person, you form this opinion based on that. You don't go 180 degrees the other way and change the complete opposite take.
Right. Unless you've been influenced.
It wasn't like you were just a kid and you didn't know, and now all of a sudden you're an adult. It's like, I can't believe I used to say that. He was an adult the whole time.
Right.
So how?
I don't know. You definitely could get suspicious for sure. But
I'm very suspicious.
But I hear people say that about me too, which is hilarious.
But I said
like that I have like CIA
decades.
handlers.
I know, but
I've heard all that. I'm
decades,
like, okay.
dude. You've been doing this.
Yeah.
You're the OG.
That's
how
it
works.
OGs. Yeah. I think for sure people do get influenced, but I think people also allow themselves to get influenced because they have a financial interest in keeping a certain opinion because they know that the group that they belong to has that certain opinion. There's that. But the real problem with doing what he did was that it diminishes you publicly. Like if you really want to do that kind of a debate, if you really want to use those kind of tactics rather than a discussion of the issue, like you've never been, like that kind of stuff diminishes you publicly because everybody knows what you're doing.
Yeah.
Instead of just having a conversation
everybody, though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody with an opinion I value knows what you're doing.
Right.
Because if you understand conversations, you understand this is not, you're not really engaging with the ideas. You're deciding whether or not a person should have these ideas or be able to, you've never been there. Like you can't, how can you have an opinion? At least you should do the courtesy. Like now I'm virtuous. I have been,
right.
I'm elevated. I'm better than you. You are diminished. You haven't even been there.
Yeah.
Your opinion is basically meaningless.
Yeah.
And then it gets to this weird place where it's like, who's allowed to talk about what? You know?
That's what, the change was so abrupt and so opposite. I was just like, because you could think if somebody was, okay, here's an example. I had somebody offer me yesterday, if I would wear their hat, $5,000. So.
With the hat and a bunch of dicks on it?
No, it was just a brand. But, so point is, there's value into doing this. So if somebody says, well, your voice is this powerful, or you can reach this many people, or this many people listen to you. So if it's a political party or a movement and they have this guy, we'll pay you this much to push this point.
UFC 315 is almost here. We've got 2 title fights with Muhammad versus Della Maddalena and Valentina Shevchenko and Manon Fiorot. And I've got just one question for you. Are your bets in? If not, look no further than DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of the UFC. If you're brand new to DraftKings, here's something big. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code Rogan. That's code Rogan for new customers to score $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
It's possible. It's also possible that he views a guy like Dave Smith as sort of a dangerous upstart. Dave Smith has incredible recall. and he's very well read. I mean, he's a consummate consumer of information, and he's always reading books on different wars and foreign policy. Like, he's really into it. The way he explains it to me is like, because I'm always like, your recall's insane. He's like, yeah, but I could talk to you about a fight that happened 10 years ago, and you'll tell me exactly how it went down. Like, that's all it is. It's just, this is what I'm into.
Right.
It just, like, it's not, I'm not studying it for any other reason other than I'm fascinated by human conflicts, like global conflicts. And so when a guy like that is rising, you want to try to diminish his impact if he disagrees with your perspective. Like, if you see someone.
But not everybody would want to diminish that impact. Not everybody. That's a certain type of person.
Yeah, but he's also a certain type of person that kind of existed in both traditional media and alternative media. I mean, he always did my podcast, and, you know, he's written some great books. Like The Strange Death of Europe is very good and proving to be very accurate. You know, if you look at, like, what's happening with mass migration into Europe, like, he was calling this a long time ago. He was saying, like, this is, and he was being called terrible names, racist, Islamophobic, all these different things. And it turns out he was right. I mean, what Conor McGregor's talking about in Ireland now, and a lot of other Irish people are talking about, what people are talking about in the UK, he was right. Like, you're changing your culture, and you're doing it. You're not having people move there that are assimilating and becoming British. You're having people that are coming there and trying to change what being British means.
Right.
This is all he was saying. And so I agree with him on a lot of things, but I think that's how life is. You agree with people on some things, you disagree with them on other things.
Definitely.
And this is supposed to be how most people view basically everything in life. There's going to be things that you agree with that I have a lot of friends that disagree with me on certain things, but that should be fine.
Yeah.
That should be normal. But for some people, it's not. For some people, it's not allowed because they live in this sort of debate culture. And, you know, and some people, they do debates. One of the first things they do is they insult the people they're debating with. They're just like, ad hominem attacks and again, trying to get you on the defensive.
It's like a tactic of when we talk about mainstream media, like those interview type shows where you only have a certain amount of time.
Right.
So they have to get right to it.
Yeah.
Whereas that's not the case with the podcast.
Also, I value perspective. I value someone who could look at things and go, yeah, like, clearly the devastation is horrible. Clearly it's horrible. Clearly there's innocent people. I've seen people say, I don't want to say who, I've seen people say there are no innocent Palestinians in Gaza. I've seen people say that. Like, that's a crazy thing to say. That's a crazy thing to say. Especially in a place that's controlled by essentially a terrorist group. Like that's a crazy thing to say. Like, what do you think Chicago would look like? How do you think people would behave if Chicago was controlled by a terrorist group? Do you think people would be free to speak out against them? Is that the problem? They're not speaking out against them, so they should get bombed? That's crazy. If you have a wife and a child and you're barely getting by, you barely have enough money for food, are you really going to be out in the streets protesting against this fucking terrorist group with machine guns and billions of dollars they've gotten from USAID?
Yeah.
No, you
Obviously
wouldn't.
not.
You wouldn't. You wouldn't be. You're not expressing yourself freely, so how do we even know what their opinions are?
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, it's just, I mean, all of it, just the changing landscape of media has just, you know, it just gets you thinking about like these voices and, you know, and Douglas brought it up in that discussion was interesting, but all that I remember from it is like how much he changed his perspective. But so anyway,
I think he's still a brilliant guy.
Yeah.
And I would still talk to him and listen to him about a lot of things. But I think having conversations like that, communicating with people like that, diminishes your appeal, or diminishes whether or not it diminishes the overall impact of your mind on other people. Because I know you think goofy this way. I know you communicate goofy this way. And as soon as I know that, I'm like, yeah, now I have to put this through this filter now when you say things. I have to go, yeah, but he believes a bunch of goofy shit about that,
right.
Which is fine. Which is fine. I'm sure people do that with me too. It's normal. But I think for someone who is a public intellectual that becomes a problem when
Right.
everyone who's really paying attention knows you're using tactics rather than actually just debating the issues at hand.
Just talking it through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this, like, the thing is, like, who's talking? Like, come on. Everybody's talking, bitch. The whole world's talking. Like, let people talk.
Yeah, it's a crazy time for sure. But yeah, you know what else? You know what I was thinking also?
What were you thinking?
I don't have. Did you know I don't have a bow hunting degree?
Oh, that's crazy. You should get a degree.
So
Who's giving out degrees?
I shouldn't be able to bow hunt, really? Should I?
Yeah,
Without
you're
a
allowed
degree?
to bow hunt
Oh, I
without
can?
a degree. Yeah, because it's a caveman fucking practice.
How awesome is bow hunting, though?
It's the best.
Yeah,
Best way to get food.
yeah. I
There's
love
no
it.
better way to get food.
Have you been shooting much?
Yeah, shot this morning.
Did
before
you?
I went to waste well. Yeah.
Are we gonna shoot?
I don't know if I have time today, unfortunately, because we spent so much time at Ways to Well, and I gotta head home after this.
Getting healthy.
Yeah, we were getting stem cells today, and what's the mask? The infusion, the lung stuff.
Yeah, that was well, it's stem cell nebulizer, basically.
Yeah, so you breathe it in. So you breathe it in like vape. You're
Yeah.
vaping stem cells.
It's got to be. Hey, all I know, and I said this when I was there, but I did that last time, and then I ran a 5-mile race. It was 8K, but my fastest 5 miles I've ever run. at
Really, with
50
a broken foot.
Yeah, at 57. So it's like, I don't know what if it didn't hurt. It
Yeah.
didn't hurt me, obviously.
Well, they've done so many amazing things with me that I'm, when they say something is really great, you should try it. I'm like, okay. So I put the mask on. I'm sitting there with you. We're talking about Rocky Marciano.
Man.
I got into these old videos on YouTube of fighters training. And I got into this one video that I sent you about Rocky Marciano and how insane his training was. And it was 7 days a week. He would spar sometimes 30, 40 rounds in a day. He would run 10 miles in the morning and then 5 more miles at night. And then he would swim 2 miles in the lake. He would swim across the lake and then back. And then he would get up in the morning and do it all over again. And he never took days off.
No, and another thing, he was like focused on recovery and sleep.
Yep.
Like he would be in bed like at 9, I think I said, every night.
Yep.
And get his sleep in, but work so hard. And why do we love stories like that?
Because you know how hard it is to do.
Yeah, but it's
impossible. I mean, it's possible, but it's impossible for most. It's like it requires a mind that is just fortified through will and discipline to this strange hardness that's just different than everybody else's.
well, but why would so he retired at 49-0.
Yeah.
Heavyweight. Everybody knows him in fighting. Maybe not everybody in the world, obviously. He died a while ago. But
By the way, small heavyweight. We were talking about that too. I think in his prime he was 190 pounds or 189 pounds, something crazy. Like, what did Rocky Marciano weigh while he was fighting? I think he was 5'10", and he weighed like 189 pounds, which is insane.
yeah,
Like 188. That's so crazy, dude. So he weighed 12 pounds less than me. Think about that.
5'10" and a quarter.
He weighs 12. He's 2 inches taller than me and a little more, and then he weighs
And
12 pounds less.
Did he fight Joe Louis and Sonny Liston?
Yeah, he fought. No. He fought Joe Louis when Joe Louis was way past his prime and flatlined him. It was pretty brutal. It was a scary fight. That's so crazy that he was only 188 pounds and he was the heavyweight champion. Granted, this is a different world.
Yeah, different era for
Different
sure.
era.
Yeah,
Like,
there was no Tyson Fury and
There's no Mike Tyson either.
Right.
Like, everybody talks
But still-
about Rocky Marciano. Rocky Marciano was great. Mike Tyson would have went through him like a fucking train through a flock of sheep.
yeah.
It's a different world. Rocky Marciano, at his heaviest, he weighed 192.
Okay.
He fought 7 boxers who weighed more than 200 pounds, but people weren't that big back then.
Right.
Sonny Liston was. Sonny Liston was big.
Yeah, so he would have been 20 pounds bigger than Rocky Marciano, Sonny Liston.
Yes. But Mike Tyson wasn't that big when he was in his prime. When his prime, he was like 215, 220, and 5'10" or 5'11" as well. He wasn't very big. And
He was born in 69, did I see that right?
No. I think that's when he died.
Oh, is that when he died?
in
Okay.
69.
I was
Yeah.
going to
No.
say, he can't be younger than us.
No.
Okay.
He was a heavyweight champion in the 1950s.
All right, never mind.
See
I do
if you
feel
can-
old. No, it's not that old.
Find Rocky Marciano KO's Joe Louis, It was brutal because, back then when you were 38 or whatever Joe Louis was when they fought, you were really 38. No nutrition, also lifetime of fighting, probably needed the money, which is why he took the fight. It's not like the Joe Louis that knocked out Max Schmeling in the height of the war and was like America's hero. This is Joe Louis when he's on his balding. He's got a big bald spot in the back. He's like, it's sad.
Yeah.
And Rocky Marciano just mauls him.
That's what's crazy about how did George Foreman reinvent himself when he was old?
The thing is, like, one thing that you did see in this fight was the technical brilliance of Joe Louis, especially early in the fight. Mm-hmm. Like, if they had fought in their prime, I think Louis would have fucked him up. That's my belief.
Mm-hmm. He's a lot bigger.
He was taller, but he also had incredible power. Mm-hmm. How old was, well, we'll ask after we watch this video, but he was doing really well for a while. But the thing about Marciano was he was not the most talented, but he did not get fucking tired, and he hit like a truck. He hit like a truck, and he was just a fucking animal. He just plowed forward. He never ran out of gas. No. Like, this is not like a technically skilled boxing match. He would just maul guys. He would just bob and weave, and this is the end of it. At the end, Joe Louis goes through the ropes. It's sad, man. It's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad.
That's
How old was Joe Louis when he fought Rocky Marciano?
That's a sad
He looked
scene.
pretty good, though.
Yeah.
Up until, like, Rocky started catching him. But this is how a lot of Rocky's fights would go. Even his last fight, which was it against? Was it against Archie Moore, I think? He got dropped in that fight and just got up and just eventually pounded him and beat him down and KO'd him.
Yeah.
But he was just so fucking tough. Like, what he would do to himself was nothing compared to whatever was going to happen inside that ring.
Right. So that was going to be my point. So he had all the success, retired, undefeated.
Pretty young, too.
People knew.
He was 30.
Joe Louis was 37.
37. Okay, that's how old Poatan is right now. Okay, that's how old Alex Pereira is right now.
Right.
That's crazy. So 37 back then was like, it was over.
Oh, yeah. So much older. But yeah, so when you look at Rocky's success, why even seeing that, and there's fighters out there, why wouldn't they emulate his style, his training, why if that's what you do and you want the same type of success, why are you letting somebody outwork you?
Yeah, it's not that simple. It's like, first of all, you're not as exposed to people like that unless
they didn't know.
You train with them. Yeah,
there's no YouTube
videos.
Right.
There's you might hear things, but if you hear things like, I heard Rocky's training 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. He don't sleep. He only eats raw meat. You hear stories like that, and you're like,
that was
fuck
Mickey.
That guy.
That was Rocky's training.
Yeah. Well, but look, that. You would hear exaggerations. You always hear exaggerations that come out of fight gyms.
But I would want to believe those if I was a fighter and be like, because didn't Tyson used to say that? That's why I got up at 5 in the morning or 4 in the morning.
Yes. Well, Tyson did train like that.
Yeah.
You know who else trained like that forever? Marvin Hagler.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Floyd.
Marvin Hagler trained like a fucking warrior.
Right.
He used to train on the sand dunes in the Cape of Cape Cod in the middle of the winter. And he would just be running, screaming war.
Love that.
War. Just throwing punches. He would run in combat boots.
Dude.
He was an animal. He was an animal. Just Spartan. He would go to this Provincetown inn. No fucking phones. He would tell his wife and family, I'm gone. I don't exist. I'm gone. For 2 months, he would just vanish. And every day would be the same thing. And he would spar a lot. Mm-hmm. Hagler was sparring 100 rounds a week. So he was sparring 20 rounds a day for 5 days in a row.
So.
And he would bring in fresh sparring partners, too. It's not like one guy he's beating up for 20 rounds. No, he would rotate 5 different sparring partners. So they would all come in and do 4 rounds each.
Didn't Khabib do that, too, kind of?
Perhaps. I don't know. I mean, I don't know exactly. Khabib had unbelievably grueling training sessions. And, that was one of the things that was so apparent, like with his endurance and their discipline was like second to none. They were like, no girlfriends, no phones, no bullshit, no video games. Fuck you, we train.
Yeah.
And recover, train, eat, recover, train. And you wanna really be a champion. This is how you have to work. And this is how Islam Makhachev is so good. That's why Khabib is so good. Those guys are disciplined.
So, if I think about it, we love stories like that. We love all the sparring, but it's not going to lead to a long life.
No.
I mean,
no.
But is that the price to be a Rocky Marciano or a Khabib who has to retire at whatever he was, 32 or whatever? Is that what it takes?
It probably
to
does.
to be legends?
Yeah, you give up something to get something. Like I don't think
give up
you
life.
I don't think you can be completely balanced to be the best ever. But, it depends on how you're doing it, Like, the thing that's so brilliant about Floyd Mayweather is that if you look at his career, he might have been really hit hard 4 or 5 times in his whole career, which is insanity. I mean, he really is only, that's Hagler.
Yeah.
In the snow, screaming war.
Dude, why?
It was the best.
Yeah, but, so why do we love stories like this?
Well, for me, when I was a kid, Hagler was the man.
Yeah.
When I was in high school.
But we still love them now.
Yeah.
I love, like that clip you sent me yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Or this.
This clip is the same YouTube website. It's Boxing Life. Is that the YouTube channel? So, really good channel. But with Hagler's discipline it was so admirable. Like, he didn't have to go to fucking Cape Cod in the middle of the winter.
Right.
He did it because he wanted to be separated. He wanted to live a Spartan life. Look, he would run backwards.
Yeah.
Throwing punches. And that's, I think that's either Goody or Pat. They're the Petronelli brothers were the guys who trained him. But, like, this is his workout. 6-mile run, steep hills, running backwards, breakfast, rest, watch TV film, late lunch, boxing training, strength and conditioning, dinner, watch film, and sleep. Repeat, rinse.
That's
do it again, day after day after day.
That's it.
I
don't see too much chill out in there.
My favorite fight with him was against John the Beast Mugabe. Because everybody points to the Hearns fight where he beat the shit out of Hearns and KO'd him. Incredible knockout for sure. One of the best boxing matches. One of the best, most entertaining world championship fights of all time. But for me, it was Mugabe. Because Mugabe was uniquely talented. Mugabe had insane power. I remember I was at a boxing gym in Massachusetts at the time Mugabe was about to fight Hagler, when Mugabe was coming up. And they were telling me stories about Mugabe fighting guys, and they never fought again. They had brain damage. I don't know how much. Again, boxing gym talk, it's hard to know.
Yeah.
But I remember being a kid listening to this going, what the fuck? Like, he hit that hard. Mugabe just was flattening people. See if you can find John Mugabe. Who did he KO? Did he KO Terry Norris? No, that was later. Who did John Mugabe fight that he knocked out?
Best KOs of John Mugabe.
Let's see. Pull up John Mugabe's record. So John Mugabe was like almost kind of, okay, here, top John Mugabe greatest knockouts. He was almost like a Francis Ngannou guy, where it's like his power was just so crazy. You would watch him hit people and you'd go, what the fuck, man? Oh, this is Julian Jackson, right? Is that who it is? I'm pretty sure he KO'd Julian Jackson, or maybe that was Terry Norris. No, Julian Jackson KO'd Terry Norris. But, he just had extraordinary power. Are they showing the KOs here? This is just a lot of boxing. Here it is. Here he goes.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
Bro. He just had this one-punch knockout power, and when he fought Hagler, man, he caught Hagler with some big shots.
Yeah.
And one of the more impressive things about Marvin was not just that he was such a big puncher and a great boxer, but also how durable he was because he was in such incredible shape. He never went down his entire career. He has one knockdown, and it was 100% bullshit. He fought this guy named Juan Roldan, and when Hagler was bending over, Juan Roldan kind of cuffed him in the back of the neck, and he fell forward, and they called it a knockdown. It was not a knockdown, and most boxing experts, I would actually argue that all boxing experts agree that was not a real knockdown. So you're talking about a guy who fought Tommy Hearns. He fought
like that last one.
Yeah, it was a little illegal.
A little on the knee.
One knee down, he KOs him. Yeah. But the point is, Mugabe was terrifying, and he was fucking everybody up, and Hagler broke him. But in the beginning, it was rough. Mugabe was landing some big shots. See if you can find Mugabe. Well, I know it's available. Mugabe versus Hagler. It was mean, too, man, like hitting guys where they were down. Yeah. Dangerous, dangerous guy. And I don't know if he fought again after Hagler KO'd him, but he was never in the conversation again. Hagler broke him. Hagler told him he was going to retire him. He's like, I'm going to retire him. He's never going to box again. And he just beat him down. And I think it was the 11th round when he finally stopped him.
5'8" and 5'9".
Yeah, 160. You know, that's about right. You know, generally speaking, for, you know, heavily muscled guys, especially back then, those guys were not cutting a lot of weight like they are today.
Right.
Like some of these guys today are cutting big weight.
Oh, God, Hagler looks good, doesn't he?
Yeah, by the time the 8th round started happening, one of the things about Hagler that was so good was Hagler could switch. So he could fight you southpaw, and then in the middle of nowhere, he would switch up and start fighting you orthodox, and was just as good.
Wow.
Just as good. The only guy who's like that is Terrence Crawford, who's champion now. He's the only guy that I've ever seen that fights just as good from southpaw as from orthodox. But Hagler was a rarity back then, a guy that could switch it up like that. Like nobody had ever seen that before.
Yeah.
But that's also why it was very difficult for him to get fights early on, because nobody really wanted to fight a southpaw. Like southpaws were too awkward. Everything's backwards.
Yeah.
And if you're not used to fighting southpaws, they have an advantage because they're always fighting orthodox people.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah, and so they're accustomed to that one look. Now, this fight had gone back and forth and back and forth. This is the end. This is when Hagler finally gets him. Boom, and that was it. And I think that was the 11th or the 12th round. I think it was the 11th round of a 12-round fight. So Hagler fought in the era where they used to have 15-round fights, and they turned them into 12-rounders after Duck Koo Kim died, when Ray Mancini KO'd Duck Koo Kim.
Yeah, it's a lot of damage. 15 rounds of headshots.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, I think that's why Rocky Marciano retired when he was 32. And, you know, 49-0 and 32 years old. He could have kept fighting, could have kept making money. 32 is your athletic prime.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, you know, Khabib did the same thing. And when I just love seeing those training camp videos, carrying the rocks and running the mountains. And it's just like, but, you know, back to my point, why do we love that? Just because it's so primal? And it's just men just giving everything they have? It's like, it's one reason why Goggins is such a draw.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
He's sort of like that.
Oh, he's very much like that. But the craziest thing about Goggins is he's not even training for anything. I asked him about it. He goes, I'm downloading information. I'm like, you're downloading? What are you downloading? This is so crazy. We were talking about the video that Stylebender just put out. Shout out to Stylebender for putting this out, too. We were also giving him credit because David broke him.
The higher we go. Because if they're hurting,
see that comment?
You're hurting, you are willing to go to another level higher, that's when you break them. So come off and see. That's all. It's all. Where your world ends, mine begins.
Where your world ends, mine begins. And this is one of Goggins' multiple workouts of the day that he took Stylebender through.
Stylebender's off the...
Yeah, and they're helping him back up. By the way, this is after they already ran. This is like this is the third thing they did. They ran, then they did the Airdyne bike, and then they're doing this. So they already did sprints on the Airdyne bike. They ran for distance. I don't know how many miles they ran, but he was exhausted after the run, then exhausted after the Airdyne, and then he does this, and then they do it all over again.
Yeah.
They start again with the fucking Airdyne machine. They go back and forth, and then it goes to sit-ups, and then it goes to, just like it never ends. And this is one, and then people go, he's not doing that every day. Well, fucking clearly he is.
Every day.
Clearly he is, because look at him. He's not even breathing heavy. Stylebender is dying. And David Goggins is talking to him with normal breath. At the same time, a world champion, one of the greatest middleweights of all time, can't even keep his food down.
And remember, this is Stylebender, who against Kevin Gastelum was saying, I'm prepared to die.
Yeah.
Going into the 5th round, looks across the ring, cage, says, I'm prepared to die. Same guy.
Same guy, yeah. There's levels when it comes to endurance. You know, and I was telling you about when we were getting our infusions, when we were vaping stem cells today, I was telling you about BJ Penn when he was in his prime. When BJ Penn was in his prime, he was training with Marv Marinovich, and Marv Marinovich had very unorthodox training methods where it was all plyometrics, explosive drills, sprints, box jumps, all this crazy stuff. And he believed, and I hope I'm not quoting him incorrectly, but he believed that fight training was of secondary importance when you're in camp, and really what was important is to just have a fucking insane gas tank. Like, BJ Penn knows how to fight. He's a world champion. He's not going to forget how to fight. But you could get him training this way where you have this gas tank that's just insane. And when BJ Penn was training with him, he was unstoppable, man. Mm-hmm. He was like, I always say this, like, people talk about Khabib being the greatest lightweight of all time, and maybe he is. It's very possible he is. But I would put the BJ Penn that fought Joe Daddy Stevenson, the BJ Penn that fought Sean Shirk, the BJ Penn that was like in that peak when he was training with I would put him against anybody. Mm-hmm. Against anybody. When he fought Diego Sanchez, he couldn't be stopped. And if you got him to the ground, his fucking submission game was insane. It was insane off of his back. He would take your back, you're dead. He would knock you out standing up. His kickboxing was elite. And
how do you think Khabib would fight him?
Take him down for sure. He'd probably fight him the same way George St. Pierre did, you know. Yeah. But the difference in size between BJ Penn and George St. Pierre is pretty significant.
Right.
BJ Penn was really a 155-pound guy who actually later in his career fought 145. Which was, when he was kind of at the end of his career. But George is way bigger. Like, George was a big 170, big muscular 170 with great
wide
wrestling.
Shoulders.
Nasty ground and pound, and a black belt in jiu-jitsu himself, and also a really good striker. And just, in his prime, when he was so well-rounded. Yeah. And there was also accusations of greasing, because, George was very slippery in that fight, which is, if you're a grappler and the other person, you can't get a hold of him, especially if you're a guy like BJ who fights so well off of his back. Yeah. BJ's legs were like arms, where he could be sitting there without using his hands. He could put his feet in the lotus position. So, like, completely cross and lock his legs in the lotus position without using his hands at all.
Whoa.
Yeah. Crazy flexibility and dexterity.
Yeah.
So if you were trapped in his guard, you were fucked.
Yeah, you see those guys who they're on their back and they get their leg up around the guy with the top position's head. Yeah. Somehow, it's just
when you're in like Eddie Bravo's guard, it's terrifying. Eddie Bravo has the craziest guard I've ever been in. It's so nuts. And there's a bunch of Eddie's students like Jeremiah Vance who also have these like insane guards like that. There's certain guys where like if they're on their back, it's no picnic. Like Fabricio Verdum, he tapped Fedor Emelianenko from his back. He got him in an armbar triangle from his back.
Yeah. Well, you could tell, like, if we talk about a recent fight, Chandler versus Paddy Pimblett, Chandler didn't really want to be on the ground with Paddy. No. And Chandler's a wrestler. Like, he loves being on top ground. But still, he had top position and was still nervous about doing stuff, it seemed like. I don't know.
Yes. Well, Paddy
but it seemed like it.
Paddy's a big lightweight. He really is. I mean, I know he gets real fat in between fights. He gets a kick out of it, but he's big. Yeah, he's big. He's a lot bigger than people think. I always say that he tricks people by dancing and having silly hair, and you go, "Oh, that's a killer." He's like tricking you. He's like, he's like one of them bugs that pretends it's a stick, and then you get close and it jacks you.
Yeah, he looked so good.
He's really good.
Which Chandler. I love Chandler. That was a tough one to watch.
I love Chandler as well, but I love Paddy as well. Paddy is very impressive.
Oh, yeah.
There's a good argument
all of them.
that the last three guys he fought, Bobby Green, Chandler, and Tony Ferguson, like, he's fighting guys with losing records, which is true. That is true. But it's still very impressive. What he did to Chandler in comparison to, like, what Oliveira did, like, Oliveira was in real trouble in the third round of their last fight. Real trouble. And real trouble in the first round of their first fight. Yeah. And Paddy was never in trouble.
Chandler was this close to having that belt.
Yes.
In that first fight.
This close in the first round. This close.
Yeah.
And maybe just got, sure, thank you. Maybe just got a little overzealous in that fight.
Yeah, he was excited. I mean,
in the second round.
Who wouldn't be?
Yeah. But also, Oliveira's a master.
Oh, yeah.
He's so good.
Well, his fight against, I think, Arman, right? Was so
So good.
I was watching those guys fight, and I'm just like, I've never seen two guys this crisp, good, technical, just never out of position hardly.
And Charles almost caught him twice in two very close submission attempts.
Looks like he was out at one time. He wasn't moving.
Well, he got it. He was pretty locked in, but he wasn't out, but it was very close. Very close. I think he should have won that fight. In my opinion, those positions where Charles had, where you were that close to finishing a fight, count for a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the problem with the scoring system. It's one thing if you like go for a guillotine, the guy gets out of it immediately, you're on your back, you're getting beat up. That submission attempt, that's not that much. But when a guy has a fully locked in Darce choke and you're almost out and you get saved by the bell, that should count for a lot.
What's the best position for a Darce? Because they were both kind of flat on the ground.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different ways you can catch a Darce, but the way a Darce works is like, say if you have an underhook, which means your left arm is wrapped around my waist. What I want to do is shove my arm under your armpit so it pops out the side of your neck. Then I want to wrap my bicep around like this. So I lock my arm around one side of your neck and this, and then I'm squeezing.
Yeah.
So that's Tony Ferguson. He had a nasty Darce.
Yeah.
Tony's Darce was elite. Because Tony has long, you see him catching it standing up there.
Yeah.
Tony has long arms and he's strong as fuck. And he's got like a great grappling base because he started off as a wrestler.
Oh, see, there's Charles.
Charles is up on top, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was saying. They're kind of laying both flat, and I just didn't know what was best.
Well, that's not ideal. Ideal is when you get the guy on his back, and then you could lock, like the Dustin Poirier one where Islam has him. See how Dustin in the lower right-hand corner? Yeah, that's it right there. So that's him against, go a little higher there. That's Renato Moicano. But one of the things you see about Islam, he's a very unique way of doing the Darce, is Islam grabs his own wrist like this to finish it, whereas other guys go all the way down to the bicep. And the thing about grabbing the wrist like that that's really good is you can make it a little bit tighter in a situation where you can't, like some guys, they have too much bulk and maybe your arms are too short.
Yeah.
You can't get like having long arms is really important for a Darce. Like John Jones must have a wicked Darce. Because you can get the arms all the way through if they're long, then you can cinch it up. But Islam cinches it up actually by grabbing a hold of his wrist. And so it gives you extra space, and the grip that he uses is incredibly tight. He's also insanely strong.
Who is?
Islam. Islam is insanely strong. Like he's got that sort of elite grappling strength that comes from decades of throwing human bodies around.
Yeah.
There's a thing about that. Like here, Demetrius Johnson says, I felt it, I know. Fucking Max Holloway just texted me. How strong is that Darce? Like that's a sick Darce. Islam is elite.
Yeah.
He's elite when it comes to like strangling people. So is Ilia Topuria. He's got a nasty Darce too.
Aren't they fighting?
I don't know.
Oh, that never got signed?
The word is, and this is only from the internet, this is not from Dana, and if he told me, he'd probably tell me not to tell anybody, so I won't tell you. But the word on the internet is that Ilia plans to fight in the June card, the big international fight week card at the end of June. Whether or not it's for the title, he said he's only fighting for the title. That's what he said. Unless he said Conor McGregor. He said, I'd fight Conor McGregor. Or the title. And I think he'd just fight Conor McGregor because he knows the numbers would be fucking insane. It would be millions of dollars. But it doesn't mean he's fighting Islam, because Islam might decide, I'm going to go up to 170.
Right, yeah.
Like, here's what could happen, because Islam's been talking about fighting 170. If Bilal Muhammad, who's the current welterweight champion, who's going to fight Jack Della Maddalena, which is only in like a couple of weeks, right? When is that? When is that one?
Yeah, that's coming up.
They might hold that announcement until that fight. So Islam and Bilal were training partners. And apparently Khabib does not want Islam to fight Bilal. But if Bilal loses to Jack Della Maddalena, then it's a no-brainer.
Why doesn't he not want him to fight him?
Next Saturday?
Not this, but next.
May 10th, yeah. So it's real soon. So all they would have to do is hold off their announcement until May.
I see.
So if Bilal wins, then there's an issue, because Khabib does not want Islam, allegedly, doesn't want him fighting because they're brothers. They train together. The whole deal.
Oh, I see.
But Islam's big. I mean, he easily could be fighting at 170. It's probably torture for him to get down to 155.
Yeah.
Whenever I interview him, I'm like, how are you 155? This is so crazy.
That would show rough weight cuts for him, it seems like.
It's rough.
Yeah.
He's big. He's probably 190 plus. Look at that. Boom. Oh, yeah, Islam says, I'm going to submit you with that because that's your thing. Islam says, Ilya says that he's going to submit Islam with whatever his favorite move is. He's like, tell me your favorite choke. Tell me your favorite submission. That's what I'm going to submit you with.
Yeah.
It's easy to say. That's an elite level and a lot bigger.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, how hard is it, or who is the next star? Because we kind of saw this with Ronda when she was coming out of the women's division. It's like, who is the next star going to be? Conor, still people are trying to call Conor out because they know of that money that's involved with it. How do we get that next superstar?
Well, they have to win. It was Sugar Sean O'Malley could have had it if he beat Merab, but that was a nightmare matchup, and he had a fucked up hip going into that fight, it's one of those things the UFC was putting on this big show at the Sphere, which was insane. By the way, if they ever do one again, you got to go.
Yeah,
this fucking Sphere's crazy.
Yeah, I remember watching it.
It's so crazy. It's like a total experience in and unto itself. I need to go to a concert there. It's the most amazing venue I've ever seen in my life, and there's not even a close second. Like, nothing's close. There's a really cool one in L.A. that just opened up, that we did a L.A. card there a few months back. That was really good, too. But it's like 1/10 of the Sphere. The Sphere's nuts.
Yeah.
It's so nuts.
It looked insane on TV.
And the sound, you feel it through your fucking bones.
So
it's wild.
That was like last May 5th, wasn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah. Cinco de Mayo.
So for him to take that fight with a bad hip is crazy. And I know he did it because he thought he could win anyway because he's a champion, and that's how champions think.
Yeah,
but
you have to.
But with a bad hip, when you're fighting a wrestler and you weren't wrestling at all in training because your hip's bad, that's crazy. That's like you got to get it fixed. Just get it fixed. Tell them it blew out and you can't walk. Get it fixed. You got to think about the legacy in the future. And taking a fight against a guy who's an elite grappler while you have a blown hip is kind of insane. If you can't grapple, it seems insane.
Yeah, I mean,
but he could have won.
I think it's that mindset you just have to have. It kind of can get you in trouble too.
And you look at how good his takedown defense was against Aljamain Sterling. So Aljamain Sterling in the first round tried to take Sean down. He could not take him down, and that was a big factor. Like, Aljamain was in trouble because if you can't take him down, and Sean is a fucking sniper. He's a sniper, and he knows how to find that chin, man. He's got a pull right hand that's like from the textbooks. And the one he would hit Aljamain with, that's going to be in that UFC when they play The Who.
Yeah.
When they play Bob O'Reilly. That'll be on that forever. That is such a clean right hand.
Yeah.
It's such a pull back. Blam!
And Aljamain saw it coming.
Oh!
You can see his face.
Yeah, he's like, oh no, what have I done?
I know.
And I bet he thought he could do that to Merab too, and he might have been able to, but Merab is Merab's a different species of human.
So
again, same kind of guy.
I know.
Same kind of guy.
So listen, we've been kind of dealing with this with my kids and Truett and all this stuff he's been doing, but I think those fighters we're talking about, it just made me think of my kids. But when you start them as kids, like the guys like Khabib, Dagestani guys, Merab, those guys have been training forever, right?
Yep, for sure.
Forever.
Yeah, for sure.
That has to give you, you have to have other abilities and talents and skills and this mindset. But when you start that early.
By the way, Rocky Marciano didn't start boxing until he was 23.
Okay, well. There goes my theory.
And he had one of his amateur fights. He was exhausted, and so he vowed to never be exhausted again. Yeah, he gassed out in a fight, and he's like, never again. So he just decided he was good. But it's also like he was Italian from immigrant parents who barely could speak English.
Yeah.
And those people who came over on the boat, they were a different species.
Right.
They're a different species of hard workers. Those people were tough, and they demanded so much.
Joey Diaz, immigrant mentality.
Immigrant mentality, cocksucker. Yeah, I mean, that's real. Immigrant mentality is a real thing. When you've come here from another country and you see how hard your family works, and there's just like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. I always tell this story about this guy that I used to train with that always used to make me feel lazy. My friend Junksick. He was in his residency in medical school while he was on the U.S. national team. So he was a national taekwondo champion while he was going through medical school. So he was going to school 12 hours a day and still training. And he would put his books in his backpack and run stairs in between studying. That's how he'd get in shape sometimes. And then he would come to the gym exhausted and fuck everybody up. It was amazing. And I remember thinking, like, I'm so lazy. Like, I thought, and I wasn't lazy. But like compared to that dude, I was lazy.
Yeah, that's what fascinates me, because I've talked to Huberman about Courtney in this regard too. It's like willpower.
Yeah.
Like what gives somebody more willpower than another person?
It's hard to say, because according to Goggins, he forged that, and he has more will than any human being that's ever walked the face of the planet. And he used to be a lazy fuck. He'll tell you, I was lazy, I was fat, I was 300 pounds, I drank milkshakes all day. Like, he'll tell you.
Yeah.
Like, and then he decided that that's not him anymore. And then he decided it better than anybody who ever has. So it's not like he had some genetic gift of will.
Yeah.
That's not the case. He forged it.
And this, Huberman talks about this, whatever that part
of your brain.
Yeah, that you can grow. So is it that anybody can develop this willpower?
Well, I think Goggins proves that, because he's the GOAT. He's the GOAT when it comes to like will. And people don't know what Goggins was doing with Izzy. Goggins has 2 destroyed knees. Okay, I had dinner with him in Vegas a few weeks back, and he showed me like some recent X-rays of his knees, because he got some fucking new thing in his knee to keep his bones from fucking smashing into each other. Some post that they put at the top of one of his knees because his cartilage is missing and his fucking meniscus is blown out, and they sawed the top of his bone and shifted it down and screwed it in place because his knee was all out of alignment. God. Because he had been running bone on bone so long that his bones were starting to it's like called wolf something syndrome. And his doctor said, I've never seen it in a human being before. Like, this is fucking insane. Like, how are you walking on these knees? Forget about running thousands of miles.
Yeah.
But he does it. He just does it, right? And if that guy will tell you that he didn't have any willpower, and that he was fat and lazy, and then decided that he's not going to be that anymore, and then put himself through grueling strength conditioning, became a Navy SEAL, and then... Look at he's laughing.
I love bringing them in. Come on in. Let's see how much of a joke this is. And guess what? I do all this alone. I ain't got nobody. That's where the shit comes from. I ain't got nobody to push to this level. That's my darkness. That's why I laugh at these motherfuckers who think they fucking know me. You think you know me? Come into my dungeon. It's a lonely dungeon because you don't want to do this shit alone. Every day? Train this hard by yourself? Come on, man. And this is, you see me breathing heavy? Imagine the level I go to.
Somebody call the police.
Good clip, Jamie.
I mean, how do you not admire that? Look, he is psycho.
I love it.
He is psycho.
I love it. Yeah,
he is psycho.
I said, we joke around about, because he says it's so easy to be great nowadays because everybody else is weak. That's what Goggins says, right?
Interesting.
And it's like, when you talk about, we talk about generations, and you've mentioned it a million times, good times, create soft, all that whole thing. But I said, well, we got one. We got Truett. So we got one kid who's still getting it done. So
well, your son learned from you. I mean, that's a great example of, he grew up in an environment where his father was regularly running these 100-mile races and regularly running 13 miles in the morning before work. Like, you were doing all that stuff, and you were setting the example.
I was going to show you something, too.
And then he sees how far it takes you in life, You've gotten here by just force of will.
Yeah, and when Truett sent me this today, so this is his first half marathon. Can you see that?
Oh, wow, he's a little kid. Wow.
But he still ran 8-minute miles in that.
That's incredible.
So,
as a little kid.
But anyway, that's what I was saying about when you start that early with stuff like that.
You get used to it. Yeah. But then again, Goggins, will tell you different. Or Rocky Marciano will tell you different. Like he didn't. I don't think there's a hard, fast rule. Look at that. Look at you guys. Aw.
That was his first marathon.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
There's no hard, fast rules. Like, yes, it's definitely beneficial. Well, as far as skill development, this is what I've always said about striking in particular. There's something about learning striking while your body is maturing and you're young is way better than learning striking once you're an adult.
Because you said that with your kick.
Yeah.
Because your body was changing as you developed that kick and mastered it.
Exactly. I was kicking, and all kicks, it's not like that's the only one that I'm really elite at. I learned how to kick when I was like a little gangly little kid. And I learned and then my body grew strong. My tendons grew strong from hitting this 150-pound heavy bag every day. Like as a little kid, just whap, whap, whap. And I basically lived in the gym. So I was kicking that bag hours every day. I was just constantly setting it up and training. I was constantly setting up moves until I got them where it's instinctive. I didn't even know it was happening before it happened. When I was in a fight, it would just come out. When you see the opening, you're not even seeing it. You're just moving.
Yeah.
It's it all goes into this
instinct.
And the only way that happens is just insane hours, constant dedication.
But as your body was growing, and you're putting the stressors on it and those movements on it, your body adapted essentially. So it's if you're already mature, your body wouldn't have adapted the same as it did because you're doing it at the perfect age.
You can get really good if you're a really good athlete and you pick up striking later in life, but you're not going to get Floyd Mayweather good. I don't think. I've never seen it. Rocky Marciano even wasn't Floyd Mayweather level. He was just a mauler. He would just, and he would never stop.
Couldn't hurt him.
You couldn't hurt him. His endurance was insane. The volume was insane. He would just make guys rethink their whole lives because you'd be like, what the fuck, man? Fuck that guy. That guy's out there? I don't want that. He just never stopped. But he wasn't, Floyd was a master. He was a master in there. He would stand right in front of you and you couldn't hit him. Stood right in front of Canelo Alvarez, and Canelo couldn't do shit with him. And Canelo Alvarez, a world champion, one of the best ever, he couldn't do shit with Floyd.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that would be less intimidating fighting somebody like that because he didn't have that power, the knockout power?
And he also had brittle hands. Floyd's broken his hands multiple times.
You knew you weren't just going to get
mauled. You wouldn't get Mugabe.
Right. You're not going to be able to hit him, and it's going to suck and be frustrating. But
he doesn't hit like Hagler.
You're not going to be in a pool of blood.
Right. He's not going to beat you down and stop you. The thing about Hagler was, Hagler didn't mind getting hit because his chin was iron. He didn't mind, and he wanted to smile at you when you hit him. And one of the things he said about Mugabe after the fight, they said, it seemed like Mugabe caught you with a big shot. He goes, oh, yeah, I like when that stuff happens. I like a good fight. This is what he said after he knocked him out. And when the ring announcer was saying, the winner and still the undisputed middleweight champion of the world, Hagler's saying it out loud to himself. The undisputed middleweight champion of the world. I mean, that's a guy that just went through hell for months in the snow at the Cape Cod. And then he just beats the scariest fucking guy in the division. And at that point in time, this was before the Leonard fight, he was talking about retiring.
And you'd have to know, if you were a fighter in his division or potentially going to fight him and you saw that after a war and then you see him acting like that, you're probably just like,
bro, when he knocked out Mugabe, it was an outdoor fight, and steam was coming off of his head. At the end of the fight, see if you can go to the end of the fight when Mugabe drops and they raise his hand and he's celebrating. As he's celebrating and walking around, steam is coming off of his head.
Yeah,
he was a monster.
Those, I don't know. I'm addicted to these fucking video viral clips so now I got two of them you just reminded me of. There's one, have you ever heard of Badwater? It's called Badwater 135, I think, but it's a race in Death Valley.
Yes.
Okay. So Goggins did that, and it gets 130 degrees where you have to, because it's on the highway through Death Valley, so you have to run on the white line, so you're your shoes don't melt.
Oh my God.
And you wear kind of all white because it's so hot, but it gets 130 degrees. So Goggins, his first time doing that, and he's got, his physical issues like always, but he gets third place, I believe. They come up to him and they're like, so what was it like out there? How was the heat? And he just was like sitting there just in his chair like this, and he looks at the camera and he's just like, didn't notice. Didn't notice it was 130 degrees. That one is just, I love that one.
But that's real. What do you got there? What was that, Jamie?
Goggins is described as one of the toughest men on the planet. He's the only man in history to complete elite training as a
Why is this? That's terrible. Why do they have music so much louder when someone's talking?
I hate that. So there's
I didn't even notice it.
Yeah, there's that one.
Yeah. Here's a Hagler one.
Okay.
See, look at the steam. See the steam coming off his head? Look at that. That's so insane.
God.
Fucking steam.
What is it about just people being shredded and just weapons?
Well, it's just inspirational, man. It makes you want to go to the gym. I mean, when I see Goggins making Izzy puke and break, it makes me want to work out. I mean, when I talk to you, it makes me want to work out. When I know that you're out there running 13 miles, when you had your full-time job, boy, did I try to talk you out of that for so long.
You did. It's crazy.
I tried to talk you out of that job for years. I was like, dude, you're wasting money being there. I know you think it's a good job, but you're wasting money. But the point is, you were working out so much while you had a full-time job. I mean, most people just don't have that kind of willpower. And when someone does, it's like super inspirational to everybody else. We feed off each other. Humans feed off of each other. When I see a guy like Goggins, or I watch a Hagler video of him training, it's just fuel, man. It just to me, it just pumps my blood up. I just want to go hit the bag, man. I want to go work out like right now. Like I see that, but I've always used that as fuel.
As a positive.
Always read autobiographies about fighters and watched videos and watched them talk, and just to me, it's always like been. It's like wood. Just throw it on the fire. It's more fuel. It's like, whoo. But this is the craziest thing about Goggins. Like, he ain't got nobody doing that for him. No. It's all in his own fucked up head.
Yeah, there's another clip where this guy, they're doing, they do these big events, speaking events. And so he was sitting there and the guy's like interviewing him. He's like, so you run for hours and hours, don't you? And he just looks at him just like, he's got masters this delivery, but he just looks at him. He's just like something like hours, days. He runs for days and days. So not hours. What are you talking about? Fucking hours, days.
Yeah. What did he do? Like 99 100 miler. Like how many 100 milers has he done in his life?
Oh, he had the world record. He did 8 100-mile races, or like 8 consecutive weekends. So it was something like that, which normally, you do 100 miles, you're banged up for a while.
I would imagine.
100 miles is a lot. So he's doing them, I think it was 8 consecutive weekends.
Yeah, most people can't even do 8 marathons.
Oh, God, dude. Yeah. 8 marathons? Yeah.
Did you ever see Eddie Ifft?
No.
Or, excuse me, Eddie Izzard.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Eddie Ifft. Eddie Izzard, the comedian from the UK who likes to wear women's clothes, he did this thing in sometime in the 2000s where he ran a marathon every day and he had no training. He wasn't in shape at all. He just did it through sheer will.
Yeah.
And I think he did it like 29 days in a row. Like something insane like that.
He did it twice.
He did it twice. Okay, he's completed 43 marathons in 51 days. That's in 2009.
And then
it says she. See, this thing about calling him she is he doesn't call himself she. He still refers to himself as Eddie.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm a he, and I like ladies. I don't know why they're saying she, unless he's changed things since, or she's changed, or whatever. Either way, respect. Super cool person, too.
Yeah.
Done 2 podcasts with him, her, them, whatever the fuck it is. I love him to death. But one of them, while he was on a treadmill, like
really,
he was a he at the time, so I was allowed to say he. at the time.
I'm glad we're getting this all worked out. Because when I want to tell these stories, I got to figure out when he was he and she. And
I think I did his podcast, and he was doing podcasts while he was on a treadmill. Mm-hmm. And he was running like hundreds of miles. He's like, but just through force of will. Completed, it's her latest endurance. Look at that. Eddie Izzard completes her late. Like, what are we doing? This time, 32 marathons in 31 days.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's
so kooky.
It is, well.
But I mean, that's really impressive too, because this is a person that's not in shape. Like when they started doing it. When he started doing the first marathon, when he ran all around the UK and ran like a marathon a day, there's a documentary about it, and the documentary is pretty incredible because he's not in shape at all, and he's just breaking himself down, and his feet are falling apart.
I bet.
Like it's all, like the bottom of his feet are just raw. It's just blood and tissues, and they've got gauze wrapped in between the toes. It's oozing. I mean, they're just destroyed.
I bet.
One day he had to take a day off because it was that bad.
You think about it, because that was one of the questions I did this podcast about this Cocodona race coming up, and they said, how many steps do you think it'll take to finish the race? So, and that just reminds me of. So if it's 250 miles, my guess was it's generally about 2,000 steps a mile, so 500,000 steps. But point is 500,000 steps on your feet, that's going to cause some damage.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So part of this training for big multi-day ultras is time on feet. Because I was injured, I couldn't train like I normally train, so I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go out and spend time on my feet. And so I did last week 150 miles, which was 22 miles a day, but I couldn't run because I've been injured. So it was like I was power hiking and kind of a slow run. So it took fucking forever, but I'm just like, time on my feet. So I was out there to do that. I was 37 hours of training last week.
So your foot must be getting worse if that's the case, if you couldn't
That was
run.
my hamstring.
Oh.
Yeah. So because I was in like the best shape I've ever been in. I was going to go to Boston and get my best marathon time. Everything was tracking good. Me and True were training, running hard. He was just like, I'm on one of his videos. He's like, my goal is to get in the 2:30s for the marathon for him. And he's like, but actually I think that should be your goal because I can't keep up with you. I was running so good and then tweaked the hamstring. So now if I try to open up and run like a 6-minute mile, it kind of re-aggravates it. So I've been trying to be patient, not push it, but I needed time on my feet was my point. Because just as Eddie illustrated in that, if your feet aren't toughened up, that's your contact point.
And that's why you run with no socks on too, right?
Right.
Yeah, you want them to get kind of like a
but
brace.
it's like that, so many steps on your body. Mm-hmm. So there's joints like, there's this great documentary that just came out on last year's Cocodona 250, and it's called The Chase because they went with four guys.
It's already at The Chase.
Yeah. And it's really good, but the 4 guys they follow here.
Bro, that looks like hell.
Yeah.
All those people in hell together.
Yeah, so that's photographer there. That's Mike McKnight right there. All these legends of 200s.
I saw someone climbing a mountain here. Part of it, is it?
What is that? Is that part of it? Shut the fuck up. Is that part of it?
That's in the same country, but that's just one of the key runners. That's what he does during his runs.
What?
Yeah.
During his runs.
Detour?
Yeah.
Take a little break.
He climbed all the way. He climbs in the film. He climbs this whole fucking thing to the top.
Oh my God.
And
There's
so
people that are different.
Yeah, but the point is like, that's the guy who is climbing right there.
What an animal.
Yeah, these guys are just studs. But here's the thing. So they had these guys, Jeff Browning right there, legend. He's won like 30 100-mile races. That's Joe Stringbean McConaughey.
What's the guy's name that climbs?
That's Michael Verstage is his name, I think. It'll probably show. There's McKnight. So it'll show him coming up. Right there.
There he is.
That guy.
Oh, he looks like a psycho.
No, that's
He's got dead eyes.
To me, that's ultra running, like the dirt bag ultra runner. Mm-hmm. That's what I love about it.
Right.
I love guys like that. This guy is like, I don't know if he's Amish or whatever. He's from Ohio. Doesn't he live around mountains? Just a freak. So you get these people out there to race this 250 miles. You don't know what the hell's going to happen. Every person they just showed there did not win.
Wow.
A guy who they didn't show won, because so much crazy things can happen to your body. And you cannot predict who's
17-year-old just finished 12th? That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's impressive.
That's impressive. That kind of will for a 17-year-old?
For sure.
Oh my God, that kid's going to be unstoppable. See,
Yeah.
that goes to show you, like,
Yep.
there are hard people out there still, even in these soft-ass times.
Yeah.
There's hard people out
Yeah,
there.
there is.
Yeah.
Like that, I think they showed they'd done the through hike on the Arizona Trail as a family, that kid who'd done it, and that was 800 miles is the Arizona Trail. So a through hike is basically you're just on the trail just as long as it takes.
Oy.
But that makes you tough.
Oh, yeah.
Every day on
Yeah.
your feet. That's the thing, is like, in that movie, these guys are just battling back and forth, passing each other, keeping track, because you have the GPS tracker. You remember when me and Courtney did Moab? Mm-hmm. So people get addicted to this tracking.
Right.
You know, I know my brother just did, so like a month ago, or maybe 3 weeks ago, it's called the Arizona Monster 300. A 300-mile race, my brother just got second.
Wow.
I was just tracking nonstop.
That's incredible.
It's so fun to
300-mile race, and he got second. How much did the guy who won beat him by?
2 hours.
Jesus Christ.
So guy who won got 86 hours. Taylor got 88.
That's so nuts. 88 hours is so crazy.
Slept for 4.
That is so crazy. How long did it take him to recover?
3.5 days. I mean, I'm sure he's not recovered.
Ever.
It's been a few weeks. I mean,
So nuts.
what I've said before is like, those races, I mean, exercising is good. That's good for you. Those, not good. Those aren't making you live longer.
No.
Pushing your body that hard.
No, it can't. I mean, it's like you're on death's door.
Yeah.
I mean, you can only run for so long before eventually everything just breaks.
The cool part is Courtney's doing this one.
Oh, nice.
She's back to the 200s.
She's a fucking animal, dude.
Yeah.
And you'd never guess. Eats candy, all silly, easy to talk to, real fun. But somewhere in that brain, there's some darkness.
I don't know.
That she can call upon.
I've been trying to find it. You know, she came out. We did. I just released it on my YouTube, but we did 3 hours. 3 days we did 100 miles.
Look at her, she's eating McDonald's French fries.
So this is I know I had Trace bring us McDonald's, because we stayed at Pisgah for 12 hours and did 15 summits, 50 miles, just up and down.
Look at her just chilling, eating fries. She looks like an Instagram influencer.
Yeah.
You know, she doesn't
There we
look
are.
like some psychopath that can run that far.
No, so yeah, we did this 3 days, 100 miles, and we did
This is a McDonald's commercial.
basically.
You have your fries stuffed in your pockets.
I
Like
know.
the perfect fuel, seed oils for runners.
We need you need calories and salt. There's my brother right there, Taylor. That's who got third.
Incredible.
So this is his race. But yeah, the point is like we went, so 3 days, and I'm, this 41 miles down this day. You get to the last day, and I'm fucking beat up, dude. She never got tired. And I'm like, she can do her little run at this like a 9-minute mile pace forever.
That's so crazy.
And I just don't, that's where I'm like, this willpower, how does it work?
Well, she famously went blind
Yeah.
and kept running and fell and cracked her fucking head and got up and kept running
And won.
and won. Yeah, she's a maniac. But it's
Yeah.
like, it's not like this angry Goggins, like, who's going to carry the boats? Mm-hmm. Like a different kind of mental strength. She's got her own thing, her own formula.
Yeah, I don't know if I told you this, but so I was talking to her about when you get in these ultra races, I mean, it's pain is what mostly stops you, right? It just hurts so bad to run. So I said, she talks about the pain cave. Like so she goes into the pain cave, and that's, she welcomes it. She's not shying away from the pain. And I go, okay, so what do you mean? You're just like embracing the pain? She's like, no, I'm working in there. And so she's explaining, she's got this chisel, and she's hitting the chisel with a hammer. And I said, oh, so you're not thinking about running? She's like, no. She's, I'm thinking about hitting the chisel. And she goes, rocks falling down and piling up. And I said, so you're thinking about that, not running. She's not running at all. She's thinking about working. So she makes her brain think about making this cave bigger. And I'm like,
whoa.
So I said, is there like furniture and shit in the cave? She's like, no. I said,
Plato's cave?
I said, but is it the same cave every time, every race? She says, yeah. And I go, but I said, do you have like an extra, like a wing for one specific race? Is you work on this wing of the cave? She's like, yeah, sometimes. So she's in this cave thinking about chiseling rock.
Making the cave larger.
Making the cave larger and just expanding the pain cave. And I was just like, I was blown away. And she goes, I feel like I need to stop talking about this because the more I talk, the crazier I seem.
Well, I kind of think you have to be crazy to be great. I don't think it comes to a normal person. I think there's got to be something going on. I mean, for her, it's the pain cave. You know, for Goggins, it's who's going to carry the boats. You don't know me, son. Like, whatever it is, like, you got to be crazy. And you have to decide, like, if you want to beat Courtney in a 200-mile race, you got to decide for years, you have to chase that goal. You're not going to do it tomorrow. It's not going to happen. Like, you're going to have to build up for years to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And she's going to be building up along the way, too, and so you probably never catch her.
I don't know. She looks, she's 40 now, looks like better than she's ever looked as far as like performance. I think she's done one race this year, won it, broke the course record, and now she's got this one coming up. So I don't know.
When she won the Moab 240, right?
240, yeah.
How far away was she from the second place person?
It's like 8 or 10 hours. And I asked her about that too. Because even that, so if you said, oh, you're up by hours.
Right.
You just
slow down. Yeah.
She pushed the whole time. So that's what I am fascinated, and I just want to know why.
Right.
How?
What did she say?
She just wants to do the best she can. She just wants to see she said she's never racing anybody else. It's always just how hard could she push herself?
That's interesting because that kind of eliminates the ego.